Hi guys, my name is Tokir Ahmed. I welcome you all on my YouTube channel Paramount Academy for English Language. Although I am back after a long time, and this is due to your incessant request, I'm going to make a video about writing. And today we are going to talk about sentence structure. Let me tell you that according to grammarians, the most important thing that we have to bear in mind regarding conversation is that how do we know that what or which type of sentence do we use. You know that conversation is a mixture of combination of sentences, so definitely a reader or a learner must know that what type of sentences should he or she use while conversing. So today we are going to learn about different types of sentence structure in English. As you know that when we talk about sentence, the most important thing is that sentence is a group of words that gives you complete meaning or a complete thought. Sentence. Before discussing that what is a simple sentence, what is a compound and complex sentence, one must know that what is a sentence. Sentence is a group of words that gives you complete thought, that gives you complete sense. Now, a sentence is actually a combination or mixture of two things. Number one, it is the combination of subject plus predicate. Predicate. Oh, what is a subject? Question arises and pops up in one's mind that what is a subject? Subject is actually doer of an action or performer of an action. Number one. Number two, that subject is someone or something we talk about. Let me give you an example of, if I write Ali is smart. Now, in this sentence, we don't have any performer of an action. We don't have any doer of an action. Our subject, Ali, isn't doing anything at all. So, Ali is your subject because Ali is someone we are talking about. So, this is your subject. Ali is your subject. Now, this is predicate. Clear? What is predicate then? We are now. I'm going to tell you that predicate is part of a sentence that provides you information, that gives you information about your subject, about your performer or doer of an action. So predicate is that part of a sentence which provides you information, which gives you information about your subject. So in a nutshell, we can say that sentence is clear, a combination or mixture of subject and predicate, in other words subject and verb, and it gives you complete thought. Looking at this sentence, Ali is smart. Clear? Now Ali is your subject you are talking about. Okay, is smart is your predicate because this portion or this part of sentence gives you information about Ali. So it gives you complete sense and it is the combination and mixture or amalgamation of subject and predicate. So before talking about what is a simple, compound and complex, one must know, it is mandatory for a learner of English language, that what does sentence mean. So there are, as I've told you earlier at the outset of my lecture, that there are three types of sentences. Number one, simple sentence. Structure wise, this is simple sentence. Simple sentence. Okay. Second one is compound sentence. And third one is complex sentence. Complex sentence. Now, simple sentence. A simple sentence is a sentence that has a subject and a finite verb. Simple sentence has a subject and a finite verb. Now, question arises that what is a finite verb? Finite verb is a verb that changes according to number, according to person, according to tense. Okay, if I write he says, he says. Okay, now this is your finite verb. Why? Because if I write he said, now it is changing. This says is changed to said. So it is changing according to tense. If I want to talk in past, said. If I want to talk in present, says. If I want to talk in future, will say. Will say. Now it is automatically getting changed according to tense. Okay. Now he says. If I say, they say. Now look, it is getting changed according to number of. Clear? Number was singular. I wrote says. Number was plural. I wrote say. Okay. This is getting changed according to number of the subject. Here it is getting changed according to the number of, according to tense. So a verb which gets changed according to number, according to person, and according to tense, this is called finite verb. So here we can say that a simple sentence is a combination of subject and a finite verb. Almost every simple sentence is an independent clause. It contains an independent clause. Now, what is an independent clause? Every simple sentence is an independent clause. Clause, before talking about independent clause, it is very much important to know that what is a clause then. Clause is actually a group of words having its own subject and its own verb. There are two types of clauses in English language: independent and dependent clause. We will be learning about when we will be talking about compound sentence. So subject and finite verb. Simple sentence is a combination of subject and a finite verb, and it gives you complete thought. Number one. Number two, every simple sentence is an independent clause, means it has a subject, it has a verb, and it can stand at its own. For example, he saw a lion. Full stop. You can see that he is your subject. Okay, saw is your verb. As I told you that every independent clause has a subject and a verb of its own, and it can stand at its own. Now it does not need anything at all. It is giving you complete sense or complete meaning, complete thought. So he is your subject, saw is your verb, clear, and it can stand at its own. It isn't in need of anything else. So I think it suffices so far as simple sentence is concerned. Let's proceed to a compound sentence. What is a compound sentence then? Now, compound, as the word itself signifies, that compound mean mixture or combination of. Your compound sentence is a mixture of two independent clauses. Two independent clauses. Independent clause having its own subject and its own verb, and it can stand by its own. Let me give you an example of a compound sentence. Compound sentence. Clear? Compound means combination or mixture of. So compound sentence is a mixture of two independent clauses. Two independent clauses means you can say that it is actually a combination of two sentences, and those two sentences can stand at their own. But these two sentences are joined by any of 7 coordinating conjunctions. Okay? For example, I met him. Okay? I met him and I was worried. Okay, now look, this is actually I subject, met verb, he subject, and was is here verb. Now these two independent clauses, this is your independent clause, again this is your independent clause. Why and how? This is your subject, this is your verb, subject, verb. He is your subject, was is your verb. Okay, both these clauses have their own subject. He was worried. Look, he was worried. Subject verb. It can stand at its own. It isn't in need of any which we call help outside. Okay, so it can stand at its own. So independent clause is a group of words that has got its own subject, its own verb, and it can stand at its own. Mean it gives you meaning. So subject, verb, okay, it can gives you, it can give you complete meaning as one. So independent clause, two independent clauses, clear, joined by any of the coordinating conjunctions in English. So what are coordinating conjunction? They are 7 in number. Okay, fan, boys. Okay, it's very simple to identify that when two independent clauses are joined by any of these 7 coordinating conjunction, that would be your compound sentence. F stands for, A stands for and, N stands for nor, okay, and B stands for but, okay, O stands for or, Y stands for yet, and S stands for so. So these are 7 coordinating conjunctions which join two independent clauses and form your compound sentence. I hope you people would have understood the concept behind. Okay, now let's proceed. Rather, let me go through very quickly from the remaining portion of today's discussion, and that is complex sentence. Complex sentence, as the name itself signifies, complex sentence. Okay, complex, complicated. So it's not as much complicated as its name signifies. So complex sentence is actually a combination of one independent and one or more dependent clauses. Now this is something new. Dependent clauses. Okay. Now, one independent and one or more dependent clauses. What is a dependent clause then? Dependent clause is actually a clause within a sentence. It has got its own subject, its own verb, but it cannot stand at its own. I'm going to cite an example for your convenience and understanding. One independent, okay, and one or more dependent clauses. Complex sentence is the combination of one independent, one or more dependent clauses. Now let me give you an example. When I reached the station, the train had left. Stop. Now, first, when I reached the station, subject is here, verb is here. Clear? Clause has its own subject and its own verb. But if it gives you this group of words having its own subject and its own verb, if it gives you complete thought or complete meaning or complete sense, it is independent clause. But when a group of words having its own subject and its own verb, clear, and not giving you complete thought, that is your dependent clause. So here our sentence starts with dependent clause. When your sentence starts with dependent clause, it is always followed by a comma. Don't forget. When I reached the station, then what happened? It doesn't give us complete thought or complete meaning. When I reached the station, then what happened? Okay, so this group of word needs extra information, and it depends upon clear this, which we call independent clause. The train had left. This is your past perfect tense. Okay, this is past perfect tense, had plus third form of verb, and it is giving you complete thought. So here this group of word having its own subject and its own verb, but it is bereft of giving you, it is devoid of giving you complete thought. It cannot stand at its own. Why is it dependent clause? Because it has its own subject, it has its own verb, it is a group of words, but it does not give you complete thought. It cannot stand at its own. Rather, it is depending on other words. The train had left. So this the train had left is your independent clause, because the train, this is your subject, clear, and this is your verb, and it can stand at its own. So this is your independent clause. So this one is your dependent clause. Clear? When I reach the station, this is your dependent clause. Okay, so for example, let me write the train had left. Now there is no comma. Okay, if your sentence starts with independent clause, no need of comma. When I reached the station, no need of comma. So here your sentence starts with independent clause, and this is your dependent clause. Now in complex sentences, your complex sentence, are the clauses in a complex sentence are joined by any of subordinating conjunction. When, where, okay, so, although, though, if, because. There is a long list of subordinating conjunctions in English. So you have to bear in mind that whenever your dependent clause starts with any of the subordinating conjunctions, and it is always followed by a comma. So in a nutshell, we can say that complex sentence is a mixture of combination of one independent or one or more than one dependent clauses. And if your complex sentence starts with dependent clause, that dependent clause is always followed by a comma. And if your sentence starts with independent clause, there is any need of putting a comma in between dependent or independent clause. So I think it suffices for today. I hope that you people would have grasped the idea of what is a simple, compound and complex sentence. Inshallah, I will be back very soon with a new video. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. It is a source of perennial inspiration. Thanks. Goodbye.